Welcome, everybody. If you could mute while you're joining, that would be wonderful.
I can't get my, are you guys seeing my chats pop up there? I apologize. I can't get them all.
We do not see your chat.
Oh, good.
You have already started recording. So, all right, I will get started then. Welcome, everybody, to the first community of practice for school year 2024-2025. And if you could stay muted while we are beginning, that would be wonderful. And we are going to go through slides and go through some slides, and then we will get to the Q&A. So if you have questions, please put them in chat. We're going to get through the slides so that we will stop the recording and then get to your questions at the end. So please put them in chat as they pop up so you don't forget. We would like to welcome you all and wanted to start with one of the, as we did last at the end of last school year, talking about the RISE culture within the Oregon Department of Human Services. And so we picked meaningful participation and shared power because Oregon has a focus on customer service and it's connecting with internal and external individuals within our communities early and meaningful and often. So thought that was an appropriate way to begin the first school year community of practice. We also want to take in people's needs, preferences into account when we're engaging you. And so again, we want to make sure that we are as responsive to all of your questions throughout this school year. Our agenda for the day is, I just reviewed the RISE culture. We're going to talk about a regional spotlight. We have some resources and some frequently asked questions at the very end. We'll provide you with some information as well. Please remember your questions are valued and very important. Put them in chat and we will get to them at the end of the slides.
Okay, this is me. Team, if my video gets weird, just let me know. My internet's not doing great today. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the beginning of a new school year. We're excited to get going. Around our Pre-ETS, we wanted to give you some data as we look towards this new year in our new contract. So our youth team is growing. We are expanded to 15 staff. Some of you that have been around a while might remember when it was just 2. So we are really excited that our team is growing and there's a focus on youth under vocational rehabilitation services. So up to 15 staff now. We have over 1,101 active students that have or are going to be receiving Pre-ETS since March of 2024. So March of this year, 1,101, over 1,101. And over 2,038 billable hours of services for the month of July. So we need to give you guys a big hand for all the amazing work that you are doing for our students in the name of Pre-ETS. Next slide. Okay, so back to school, we want to set you guys up for success. So just a few reminders as we look to this new school year. When you have a new Pre-ETS request, we do need to direct people to our CAP brochure. So this is found on our website. I'm sure one of my teammates will go ahead and stick that in the chat. This is not something that you have to print out. in hand to the families, but you do have to indicate that it's available for their use and they can read it around Pre-ETS. And if you need more help or assistance with that, please reach out to your youth services coordinator. They can get you that as well. When we're looking at scheduling this year, there's a few things to keep in mind. It's super important as the year rolls out to think about those parent nights, back to school nights, events in your school that might be happening. These are great places to set up a table and get the word out about Pre-ETS and get those forms signed as families are readily available in your building. Also, giving yourself time to scheduling time to enter that data. So data is due by the 5th of the following month. You have, 30 days. It's been highly recommended that you do that either daily or weekly or according to your schedule, but just make sure to remember to set a time aside to get that into our data system. We don't want you to do work that you're not going to get paid for. So it's really important. Also, setting up time to meet with your youth services coordinator and your VRC regularly to discuss, issues, students, all of those things. That team time is really important. So as you look and schedule out for this next year, getting regular time to meet and connect is super important. Thinking about new staff, when you're in the schools, there's a lot of turnover. So there's going to be new school staff that may not know anything about Pre-ETS. So finding that out, connecting with them, maybe staff you've not connected with historically. So looking at your career and future centers, your counselors, your nurses, along with your SPED staff, making time to connect. That's coordination time around what you do. And to new dashboard users, there's a help ticket in our dashboard. So if you're having issues specific to the dashboard, please put it in through, there's a help ticket, a help spot in the dashboard. That will go to one of our wonderful HSAs, anything around the dashboard. If it's outside of that, if you're having questions around billing specifics with students, please reach out to your youth services coordinator. Timeline reminders. So Pre-ETS request, you need to submit new requests for students. So when you're planning out, looking at students, and you get that request form in, it can take us up to 30 days to get that authorized and in the dashboard so that you can begin working with students. So keep that in mind as you're planning out and getting those signed. We want to make sure that the student is authorized before providing the service. So you can begin providing services once that's authorized and pops up in your dashboard. Not when it's submitted, but when your youth services coordinator has authorized the student for services, you can begin providing and billing from that date forward. Reporting. So don't forget to report the services that you're doing. That is due on or before the 5th of each month for the month prior. So example, this month, September 5th, everything for August was due into the dashboard, billed for by the 5th of September. And that is by the end of the business day. So you would want to get that in by end of business day on the 5th. Anything I'm leaving out, team? All right.
Sounds great, Desi. I just want to say there are captioning link in the chat if you are needing the closed captioning.
My name is Barbara, and I have a little bit of information that I'm going to share. Some of it Desi has just talked about, but we're going to talk about it again, kind of just to emphasize and make sure that we have all of that down. So this is the timeline for Pre-ETS delivery and reporting. So when you deliver Pre-ETS, those Pre-ETS are delivered throughout the month for any of the authorized services. Let's see if I can there. Okay. Again, delivering Pre-ETS throughout the month for any authorized services. And when you are delivering those, feel free to go ahead and report throughout the month. Now, the important thing is that we have that deadline, like Des was talking about, due no later than the 5th of the following month. And that's very important. That's a firm deadline that we're following. You don't have to wait till the end of the month to put everything in. If that works for you, great. But it's easier for everyone, I think, that is receiving those to go ahead.
There you go. Okay. Good.
It's easier, as we go along to put those in as they come in. For VR proving and reporting, they're proving reported pre-ETS happen between the 6th to the 15th of the month. And then the school receives those billings, and the invoice goes from the school invoice from the 16th to the 25th to develop that invoice and then submit to the schools. Is there anything anybody wants to add to that? Okay. Next slide.
In the chat, Donna brought up a really good point and would like to introduce our newest youth service coordinator, Barbara Niels. Barbara, do you want to let them know what areas you cover?
Yes, I cover Lynn, Lincoln, Benton, and Lane counties, and I'm very excited to be part of the team.
We're excited to have you. Thank you, Barb.
This next one, we're going to talk about pre-ETS resources and proofs of service. The proof of service, I think that we have all been struggling a little bit with this, and I think that we're trying to gain some momentum in moving forward. The things that are absolutely necessary that we need to have are the names of the pre-ETS provided, the date or dates that the pre-ETS were provided, and you'll notice there is an area if you have an extended period that you can cover over many dates. What was the activity or the pre-ET that was provided, and when did it take place, the length of activity, what was the outcome for the student? And again, throughout this entire process, when you're writing these, we need to be writing it from a student voice reflective. And that's very, very important for, if you're talking about what your intent was to cover, what they have achieved out of this, maybe something that to be worked on for a future project. And in any supplemental documentation that you have. This proof, when it gets downloaded, and it's going to be used as additional reference on what services do we still need to provide to these students to holistically and provide all of the services that they need to be successful in the world. One of the big things that we're running up against is the confidentiality issue. Only one student's name and information can be provided on any of the proof that is attached. There should be no other student name, and we're not allowed to have photos of students. We appreciate that, somebody will send in a photo of an accomplishment or a certificate or something that they had received, and we're excited to, but we can't use that as proof. It definitely impacts on the confidentiality. Billable hours, and I'm not going to try and explain this one, but the increase in hours should yield an increase in proof of service. Again, we should have this in a student voice reflective method. And the reminders of proof of service, billable hours include arrangement, delivery of pre-ETS, wrap up, and reporting. Anything anybody else can think of? Okay. Oh, I guess this one is mine. Okay, sorry. Billing reminders, mileage logs. Mileage reimbursement is for providing direct pre-ETS and coordination activities. Mileage logs need to reflect the services provided in the dashboard. If you have no direct services submitted in the dashboard, you shouldn't have a mileage representing those direct services. And so we want to make sure that we have those checks and balances in place. If transition specialists submit a mileage log that contains travel for business other than pre-ETS, that mileage log needs to reflect this by indicating which miles were incurred for the pre-ETS. On supplies needed or supplies need prior approval. Request supplies through the Pre-ETS dashboard for review by the Youth Services Coordinator. When supplies are approved, a report will generate to the business office on the 16th of the following month. This approval report will be submitted with the invoice when your billing department requests reimbursement.
Susan, would you like to talk about the Jobs Club?
Sure. So we're rebooting the Job Club. Excited to have that happen. Our first one's going to be in October 10th at 1 p.m. And we're having speakers talking about manufacturing. And we'll share another too, but this is the flyer is an interest form so that you can get the link.
Susan, you muted yourself.
That was my bad.
talking.
Apologies, Susan. I was trying to mute other people coming in. I forgot you weren't in the site. So my bad. Apologies.
Oh, good. I'm not left off, but we're excited to have Job Club again. We're creating a graphic organizer that students can use to kind of keep track of what they've learned. And we're creating an opportunity for you to work with your youth service coordinator. So potentially this could be billable services for you, as long as you're getting the from your youth services coordinator. It's live. We have guest speakers. October is manufacturing, and November is going to be health care. I think I hit the pre-registration is required.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open this up to question and answer. So if you have questions, if you would like to either put them into the chat, or you could raise a hand and then we'll take some turns addressing any questions you have. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
We already had one from Heather, and it's